Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 32. My name is Ryan Higgins and I am not joined by Brock Sager this week because he is sick and not here. Instead, I've brought back some very special guests. Introduce yourself.
I am Toby.
And I'm Charlie.
Hey, it's Toby and Charlie. You guys remember these guys from a few episodes ago. Some of my other lovely employees here at the store. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
All right. What have you guys been reading? Anything cool? I figure we should see what you guys have been reading the last couple months. Anything not New 52 related?
Oh, not New 52
okay.
related.
Oh, well, then never mind. Never mind. Then what have you been reading? Go ahead.
Well, I've recently caught up on, in terms of non-New 52, I caught up on Daredevil recently. I've been really enjoying that and what they've been doing.
The Mark Waid Daredevil stuff. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, that stuff has actually been really solid, and I like what they're doing with the character in that book. What else?
Feel free to talk about the 52 stuff as well.
No. We have set a rule.
No. We always talk about it. What have you been, now we're 3 issues in on some of these series. Have you, anything really catching your eye that maybe you weren't super into the first time around or anything you were excited for that's kind of let you down?
There's been a little bit of a shift in terms of how I feel about the Batman books, just because certain issues have had stronger second and third issues than others. I'm really enjoying a lot of the dynamics in the Batman and Robin book right now, especially with the Bruce Wayne-Damian relationship in that book is really working for me.
Cool. Toby?
Well, I've been reading The Punisher. And I think it's a fantastic book.
It's a Greg Rucka one.
Yeah, just the fact that I think I read up to issues 3, and okay. I think in 4 you're missing issue 4. I think that's why I'm continue reading. But I love the fact that he doesn't talk. I mean, it's just the fact that he doesn't talk just makes the whole book for me. Like it gives him like kind of more eerie feel to it. Yeah. Makes him scarier. I like the 2 detectives that are trying to figure everything out. Mm-hmm. They almost make the Punisher like a boogeyman. It's like, like Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th. I really, really, really dig it. And in fact, I wouldn't even mind having a full Punisher movie where he doesn't say a word, which makes him so much more scarier than he already is. So
that totally could work.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask. I've actually been a pretty big booster of both of those series because I haven't been enjoying a ton of the Marvel stuff. Have you read those totally independent of me, or did I suggest them to you, or
totally independent?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so too.
Because seriously, besides those, like Captain America is the only other book that I'm like, people should read this, and those books are really gravitating towards the more casual Marvel fan. Those books, because they're so self-contained and not big crossovers, and they're good concepts, and they're just good books.
Well, the other thing is a lot of the stuff that seems to be involved in crossovers and stuff kind of lacks a certain amount of character development.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the things I found very refreshing going to the Daredevil comic, was it's almost all about character development and how his life has changed after the effects of the Bendis and Brubaker run and everything that came after it. It just sort of seems to me like they didn't just reset, go back to the way things were. He had to figure out how to be the kind of person he wants to be with these new rules in place.
I love animation. I love the artwork in Daredevil too.
Yeah,
so really good.
See,
stuff.
I'm the one that doesn't like it. I think that's the reason why I haven't read it yet.
Really?
So everybody's been recommending Daredevil, and I just like looking at it, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I can read it yet.
Yeah, well,
so maybe in trade form. But the Punisher, I think customers been recommending that one to me, and I just kind of picked it up as they left the store. I'm like, all right, I'll read it, and I was really, really blown away by it. I mean,
that's really good.
I was never a big fan of the the Garth Ennis one? Yeah. I knew it was good. I knew why people liked it, but to me, after a while, it was more a shock value thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this new Punisher book, it's really more. This is the Punisher I always liked. This is kind of the dark stories I always kind of liked.
Well, for me, what actually caught my eye on the Punisher book, and the reason I was also reading that is just because I realized it was Rucka, and it's street-level Rucka.
Yeah, no, I always liked the street-level. And I've been recommended Punisher Max, actually, too, just last Sunday, so they've been recommending that one as well.
If you don't want shock value, Punisher Max is... It makes the Garth Ennis series look like a kid's book.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Punisher Max is...
hard to imagine.
Oh, it is. Punisher Max is messed up. That's the Jason Aaron stuff.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The customer also told me it's almost like it's an alternative universe thing.
It is.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because Elektra and they're kind of different characters in that one.
Yeah, Elektra and Bullseye are in it, but they're very different. And even Kingpin is very different.
Okay.
I shouldn't say very different. Just different take on the characters.
Okay.
Yeah. Good
Cool.
stuff, though. Very
Cool.
good. Very good. I know there was 2 other books. So we got some Marvel love to start this episode. Unfortunately, we got to go to a little Marvel hate here for a minute. There were actually 2 really big books released this past week. And actually, Toby, it's good to have you on here because I know you're a big Joe Mad fan.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about Avenging Spider-Man #1 this week, the Zeb Wells Joe Mad Marvel team-up book. What do you think of Joe Mad's art in this? Because you do really like Joe Mad despite everything.
Love Joe Mad's art. However, I think he lost me a little bit in the Ultimates.
Ultimates 3.
Yeah, and I kept going with it. I kept collecting anyways. And Ultimates almost feel like he filled the page of characters. They just became bigger, so he had to draw less background. And this one has some cool splash page. I like the one where all the creatures are coming against the bridge. That was a really cool page. There's some really good stuff in there. However, overall, I still feel like it's not the same anymore. It's not the Battle Chasers. It's not his older stuff. I don't know what it is. I feel like something is missing. It's almost like it's half his art. Like it's almost like as he would have spent another couple months on it, but instead he just turned it in. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's missing. Backgrounds and inking.
Yeah.
There are very little, if any, backgrounds or inking in there. And
which is the first thing I noticed in the Ultimates 3 book also. It's the backgrounds were missing.
Right. Now, I know, because again, you're a big art guy, so I think it was, you showed me some original Michael Turner artwork, which is like, you look at the finished drawing, and the colorist and the inkers do so much of the work, where he's just like a character outline, and they go in and do so much. Was that the case with Battle Chasers? Or did he really do a lot
No,
of
I
background?
think he did a lot of detail work on that one. I mean, if you just open a Battle Chasers book up, just look at the costume alone.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the detail on the shoes, or stuff you don't really look at. Over here, you could tell it's like boom, boom, boom.
I mean, is this the only way he's going to hit anything even remotely close to a monthly deadline?
Well, maybe it's that. Maybe he just needs to get back in the groove. Maybe I don't know. I'm not him, so I don't know what it is. I still love his art. It's just like I feel like something's missing, and it's definitely the background. And I don't know. It's just the emotions are not like they used to be.
Yeah.
The stuff in Battle Chasers that had great facial emotions and stuff like that. And yeah, Spider-Man wears a mask and all, but I can't pinpoint it. Besides the background, I can't really pinpoint it. And then I haven't had, again, that's one of the ones where I flipped through and I haven't had the need to read it yet. Like, nothing sprang at me that I should read this book.
You could have read it as fast as you flipped through it. It took me less than 2 minutes to read it.
And who's writing it?
Zeb Wells. He's done a lot of.
I was a little scared. Are you going to say it was Jeff Loeb? So I was a little scared of that.
No, we'll talk about Jeff Loeb in a minute.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I am not a huge Joe Mad fan, but the guy has 2 things: fans and energy, and both were lacking in this book. We sold more copies of Demon Knights. We sold more copies of Resurrection Man. We sold more copies of Suicide Squad this week than of Avenging Spider-Man #1. So maybe it's just one of those things where 3 months from now, Joe Mad fans are going to be like, "Oh, Joe Mad's working on a Spider-Man book. I totally didn't know."
I don't know if the first book to have him team up with the Red Hulk was the good thing. I think if you got
Wolverine,
or a female character, since it's Joe Mad. I mean, if he teamed up with Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman on this book, I think
Black Cat, or
I think they would have sold a ton of more books, or I don't know, even something else. Like,
I guess in terms of the Red Hulk thing, and this doesn't really color my opinion of the Red Hulk because I have all sorts of rants about him. But
or if it was the Green Hulk, see, I would have been happy with the Green Hulk. Yeah.
But he does seem to be very popular. I mean, a lot of people swear by the Red Hulk that I've talked to, and I'm like, I just don't see it.
Me neither.
The Red Hulk and the Red Hulk series, it's a clear case of the vocal minority on the internet like him and like his series, but it does not translate into any real sales. The Hulk series is one of our. I mean, when Jeff Loeb was writing it with Ed McGuinness and stuff,
that was crazy when he was writing it.
The sales were big But even towards the end of that run dropped off so bad, so fast, and now it's like it's one of my lowest selling Marvel titles. Who
is the Red Hulk again? Is it General Ross?
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Mm-hmm. Now, isn't he technically a bad guy?
Sure.
Like, how did he team up with Spidey in this book? Like, I'm really confused of why he's the guy that's teaming up with Spidey.
Captain America in the Avengers book said, "We need a Hulk. You're on our team." And he's like, "All right."
Well, even beyond that, I mean, the way yes, I have tons of hatred for the Red Hulk, and yet I've read a good percentage of the Red Hulk books. But they kind of did this whole thing where Ross kind of realized that no matter what he does at this point, he's not going to be the good guy. He's now the bad guy. He's now turned into what he's hunted and hated all this time, because even though he was a Hulk villain, he was still a general. He was still kind of perceived as a good guy. I mean,
like when Lex was president?
Of course. But when Lex was president, at least all the standard heroes still recognized Lex Luthor is a bad guy. He may be president, but it's not like Batman or Superman but over the years, tons of times heroes have teamed up with Ross because the Hulk was on a rampage somewhere. So he's always kind of teetered that line between, yes, I take things to an extreme. I can't be trusted to play by the straight and narrow. But he never really came across as just a absolute bad guy. He just had his own little agenda, it seemed.
Yet Steve wanted him. Yeah. Out of all the characters in the Marvel Universe, Steve wanted him.
I think Steve felt he could control him.
I think Marvel said, "Hey, Brubaker, we need to make this Red Hulk character more popular and sell more of his books now that Jeff Loeb's off the book, so put him on the Avengers." I think that's the only thought that went through it.
Well, but again, that goes into the general consensus I've sort of gotten from people is I'm in the minority that has issues with the Red Hulk.
And, you're not in the minority on this podcast, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But it always throws me a little bit just how forgiving people are to a lot of that story arc, because I'm like, how many times can they hit you upside the head saying, it is not Thunderbolt Ross. Ross is not the Red Hulk. That's like the first thing they went out of their way to say, it's not him. A little while later, they reconfirmed it. It's not him because he was killed. So when the big reveal turns out to be him, I'm like, oh my.
Yeah, I think the whole book.
How many times can you go out of your way to tell me it's not him?
Yeah. But going back, if Spider-Man was just teamed up like Daredevil, Iron Man, I mean, any of those, they would have sold a ton of more book. I mean, look at that. We still have a whole bunch there.
So it's funny because with the whole DC relaunch, I mean, I went big with the DC books, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm missing the boat. Let me go heavy on a couple of these Marvel new launches. I'm going to give them to the customers. I think we'll get them. Really, let me see where my limit is. Maybe I haven't hit my limit on some of these books. Maybe I'm really losing out on sales. No, I was pretty much right. I went heavy on Uncanny X-Men #1, and I went heavy on this, and both bombed for me comparatively to what I was hoping to sell through. I sold no more issues of Uncanny X-Men #1 than I did of the issue prior. And
here's the funny thing. I didn't know that there was an Uncanny X-Men #1. I'm dead honest right now. I had no idea.
But part of that just has to do with the fact that I've always kind of got this feeling that with a lot of the DC books, a lot of times when they went back to issue 1, it was sort of a fresh start. Even before the New 52, when they, at the end of Brightest Day, when they kind of relaunched the Birds of Prey series.
Huge increase.
And all of that stuff.
Green Arrow, huge increase.
Were sort of a brand new, you could jump on, you're not missing anything. But I kind of picked up, because I did read the Uncanny X-Men #1, and I felt like it wasn't even worthy of calling it a #1. It was, okay, we might be changing up things a little bit, but it's not really a fresh start book. It's not really a...
Well, none of them have. Yeah. When they relaunched Thor and they relaunched Cap, it's like, all right.
Punisher.
Well,
yeah.
Punisher felt different. Daredevil, I think Marvel realized how badly they screwed Daredevil over the last year or so. So it's good to kind of give that a fresh start. But I mean, yeah, the Uncanny thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But speaking of #1s, it's a whole bunch of more Marvel #1s coming out. And it started this week with a Marvel Point One, a 80-page, I believe it's 80-page, anthology featuring, I'm just going to run down some of these names here. Let me know if you recognize any of these guys. Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, Chris Yost, who actually is probably more well-known outside of comic books.
Yeah. I like Chris Yost.
The animated
actually.
stuff.
Yeah, he does a lot of,
Yeah.
I think he's in charge of most of the Marvel animated stuff nowadays.
Right. Matt Fraction, Terry Dodson, Ed Brubaker, Dave Lapham, and Brian Michael Bendis, and Brian Hitch. Those are some big names for what's possibly one of the worst comic books I think Marvel's published this year. Marvel has decided to launch 7 new series, and using this $6 Marvel Point One book as like the launching pad for like these short stories that kind of predate the series. And what a just uninteresting, unconnected, random grouping of books led off by possibly this is what I'm going to call the worst comic book published in the year 2011. It has the worst line of dialogue published in 2011. Is the Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness Nova story, where Nova, where Nova, who apparently now is an 8-year-old boy,
of course he's an 8-year-old boy,
for some reason, fights Terrax for 3 seconds before the Phoenix comes back randomly, and Terrax gets exploded for some reason. And then Nova says, which I need to get, Toby, give me the book here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is the worst line of dialogue in modern comic book history.
Now, listener, keep in mind, this is his favorite character of all time.
Third or fourth.
All right. It's up there, though. It's up there.
As Phoenix destroys a planet, Nova says, and I quote, "All those people, epic fail."
Wait, it actually says epic fail?
Yes, it says epic fail.
Dialogue. This will be the cover art for this week's episode of the podcast. I believe this to be the worst line of dialogue in the year 2011, the worst comic published in the year 2011. I believe Marvel is secretly, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Marvel is secretly out to get me, because first they have Mark Miller kill Speedball in Civil War, and now Jeff Loeb basically killing Nova. I mean, they already killed Rich Rider, so now this new Nova killing him with the worst dialogue of all time in this book. Marvel, I accept your challenge. I will continue to hate you because you've destroyed everything I love.
Well, for that purpose, since he just made a pretty explicit statement, I want everybody who goes to the forum to find worse bits of dialogue to post for him to read this week.
There's not that many. There's not that many. I mean, these books are first of all, completely unrelated. It's this really kind of cheesy Watcher story where it's like, oh, I'm watching all this stuff. I mean, there's some cool stuff, but it's like, oh, it's the Exterminators of the Age of Apocalypse universe. Really? Why? Yeah. Like, what does that have to do? Oh, it's Kane as the Return of the Scarlet Spider.
So now, am I hearing correctly? He is going to be the Scarlet Spider,
right?
Which worries me quite a bit.
Right. So Charlie, he before the podcast, when I brought up Kane, he gave a face I have not seen too often. So Charlie has a rant here, and I want to hear this.
My general feeling of Kane is it just brings
actually,
back...
before you start, for people that don't know, Kane is the clone of Peter Parker from the much highly loved Clone Saga of the 90s of the Marvel Comics.
Hey. I'm going to go and defend it, and I love the Scarlet Spider, which wasn't Kane.
Yes, Ben Reilly.
Which wasn't Kane.
but right, one of the clones. Sorry, I should rephrase that. One of the clones, because Ben Reilly died. Ben Reilly is
but he was
gone.
really cool,
and he's been gone for a long time now.
Right,
and I'm glad they haven't quite brought him back.
They brought him back, but it was Kane, right? They brought back Ben Reilly. But it turned out it wasn't actually Ben Reilly, it was Kane.
And now he's going to be...
If I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong. I may be misremembering.
I'm way out of touch, but the bottom line is, yes, I was one of those people that actually purchased almost the complete thing of the Clone Saga way back when, and I have this general picture in my head of the whole trial of Peter Parker thing where they found Peter's fingerprints at some crime scene where he murdered a guy, and the trial was pretty much over with him guilty till Kane shows up, takes off his mask to be a deformed Peter Parker, and burns his fingerprints into a table and said, "It was me, here's the proof," and leaves. And I just can't get behind the idea of bringing Kane back. I think that's a horrible idea. They don't need clones of Peter Parker running around.
Well, Kane was rather interesting in the Spider-Girl stories. I was kind of okay with him there. I didn't like him, but I was okay with him there.
Well, Kane has been around for a little while now. He's been showing up in the Spider-Man books. He was in Spider Island. So he has been around. So this isn't like a brand new thing.
Yeah.
But still.
But him being Scarlet Spider bothers me quite a bit. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if someone else took on the Scarlet Spider costume. Like, what if it's like a new, not a Ben Reilly, but a new character? Like, you know what? Like the whole thing, my whole problem with the Ultimate Spider-Man, the new one, the half black, half was a Latino one.
Yeah.
What if he was in the regular Marvel universe and he became the new Scarlet Spider? I would have loved that.
Well, and I'll show Toby here too. That's the Scarlet Spider uniform. It's totally not the old uniform.
It's a mesh between Scarlet Spider and Kane, actually.
I mean, people made fun of the Scarlet Spider with the hoodie, but this is literally a hoodie that he's wearing. This isn't like a costume hoodie. This is just like some gray hoodie.
I'm not liking this.
Well, my big rant about this .1 book, and part of the reason I had trouble finishing it, as Ryan said, most of the stories are not well interconnected or anything to really explain why it's coming out in this issue. And I actually went into this issue having no clue what it was going to be about. I knew little bits and pieces that had been leaked through, but I didn't go out searching for information. I just kind of went, okay, this looks like it's going to be a big Marvel book. I know that they've been pushing it heavily. The cover looks interesting. So I picked it up, and what I got was a lot of stuff that doesn't really affect anything, at least from the looks of it right now. And honestly, some stuff where they're pushing stuff that's already been pushed in other books that have already had little short stories to give me a lead in. So why do I need to buy another comic just to lead into a book that's already been well led into, like the New Defenders book?
This should have been a freebie book.
Well, you know what this should have been? DC did something like this a while ago. It was called Countdown to Infinite Crisis. It was 80 pages. It was one story that led into 4 stories. It was the death of the Blue Beetle, and it was one of the best single-issue comics I ever read. That book was, to this day, one of my absolute favorite books. Just amazing, with an amazing ending. This is nothing. So I'm gonna break some retail stuff here and throw some numbers at you here. So what they did with this book, and this is, I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but it's just, you just see Marvel padding these numbers, and this makes me even more mad at the series. So the book was announced at $5.99, $6 for the comic, meaning it's costing retailers about $3.
Yeah.
What they said was, so by the time Fear itself had ended, I'd cut my orders way low because we weren't selling many copies, and the last issue was also $5. So it was like I cut way back on the last issue, and I still didn't even come close to selling out. If you ordered a percentage or the same amount of your Fear Itself number 7 orders of this book, they would bill you at a much lower price, which is $1.50 a comic, which means you could sell it for $3 and be fine. Well, so I did that and figured, hey, I'll try it. I'll sell it cheap. I'll try to move as many copies as possible. Then they doubled your order after the final order cutoff, which means I couldn't adjust my order down. I got 200 of these fucking things. I sold like 25 or 30 of them, and that was at $1.99 a piece. Okay, at $2 a piece. I should have just kept them at $6, sold like 10 copies, and just like thrown the rest in the trash. Like, this is
smell quarter books.
Well, you smell a book I'm going to be giving to everyone that orders something from the store for the rest of eternity, because I got like 160 of these things that I need to do something with. I mean, I gave it to everyone that got Fear Itself. I gave it to everyone that got all the crossover stuff for Marvel, and most people were like, "Yeah, it's $1.99. I'll take it." But so many people were like, "Yeah, no, I'm not even going to take this." I wasn't even here on Wednesday because I was out. My girlfriend had LASIK eye surgery, and Toby,
it was interesting.
You and Brock and Marshall, our new guy, ran the store.
I think next time you gotta tell one of us who's in charge, because
I'm in charge. You guys just
not when you're not here. It's rather interesting because everybody thinks they can do whatever they want. So I figure I'm in charge by seniority. Marshall, I don't know what his reasoning was, and
he was here at the beginning of the day. So.
And Brock was they all had their own reasoning.
And Brock.
It was a rather interesting Wednesday. I gotta say so. It was a little all over the place.
Okay, well,
I wish I was here.
Yeah, you should have been. It would have been actually kind of hilarious.
Should have the whole group here. But yeah, I mean, just the stories Brock was telling me and Marshall was telling me about selling on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And then over the weekend, I tried to push on a few people, and everyone was like, nah, I don't even care.
Well, I mean, I look at it, and I'm not amused by it. I mean, like, I look at the cover, and like, there's nothing there, really. I mean, there really is nothing there that makes me go, I want it.
That Countdown to Infinite Crisis, it was a Jim Lee cover with Alex Ross.
Well, here's the problem. Marvel doesn't have Jim Lee anymore.
But they have guys.
Well, they have Joe Mad, who is not doing Joe Mad caliber work. You know, what if Jim Lee is drawing, like, I don't know, a character with no background? And I'd be like, Jim, what's going on, dude?
So, this Marvel Point One. So anyone that orders anything from Comics Conspiracy over the next year, you're going to get a copy of this. So have fun. We'll throw some in. Maybe you like the book. And some of the books were fine. The Defender story was fine. I actually didn't mind the Exterminator story. I actually I do like what they do in X Factor, and so that story was fine. It just seems like okay, whatever. Why is this even in here? It was a fine story, but it just didn't do anything for me.
And for me, that's just one of those things, as Toby said, it should have been a much cheaper price point to begin with.
It should have been a freebie book. I keep looking at it and thinking this should have been a freebie book that people just grab and read for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Because I agree. The Exterminator storyline was actually pretty decent. Because I've always been a fan of the Age of Apocalypse universe in general. I mean, I bought all those books when they came out. I was really excited when they sort of brought it back a couple of years ago. And
Age Apocalypse.
Yeah. But, I mean, for me, what just sort of gets me about this particular book is because it's all sort of loosely connected, I wasn't really looking for that short story at the time.
Right. Well, I think we'll move on there to something else. I guess we'll swing back DC's way for a few minutes here. Green Lantern animated series premiered over the weekend.
On Friday.
Animated, air quotes. This is Hal Jordan and Kilowog flying around in space, kicking some Red Lantern ass. Charlie, you're as the resident hugest Green Lantern fan. I think you're, in my opinion, you're probably pretty close. Let's get your take on this. This is
from the look on your face, I'm pretty sure they're not.
Oh,
but that's okay.
Well, first this ran on Cartoon Network. It was an hour-long premiere. The series doesn't actually start till next year.
In the new DC Nation block.
Wait, does it mean we're not going to see any episodes till next year?
Right, it's what they did with Young Justice.
Yeah.
They did the same thing, but they kind of give you the teaser episode.
Yeah.
And then the full series comes out afterwards.
Young Justice, by the way.
Yeah. No, I think we're closer than you think, but go ahead.
I thought certain things really highlighted in the series to me. I mean, the animation I kind of wish was a little different, I guess. Just because I love a lot of the older DC lines of stuff with like Justice League Unlimited, Justice League, all the direct-to-video stuff they've been putting out.
Bruce Timm?
Yeah. Even the stuff Bruce Timm is...
Is this Bruce Timm related?
It's Bruce Timm, yeah. It's Bruce Timm related.
Well, yeah, he produced it. He's the head of the stuff. But.
Yeah, but they kind of went for a very sort of CGI look that's not quite as polished as the Clone Wars series. And
that's an understatement.
Yeah. And while I like some of the character designs in the new CGI look, it doesn't spoil the show for me. But I've seen some awesome looking animation on television. Like even Young Justice right now looks so beautiful compared to this.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm very disappointed in the art style they chose and stuff.
Which is interesting because they could have just continued First Flight. They could have just taken that as a pilot and continue in that vein. And I would have loved that. I would have been very interested jumping up and down to watch it right now. Yeah.
But that being said, I'm very good at looking at something like that and kind of stealing myself. And I saw all the early animation stuff for this, so I already knew what to expect from the animation. And I kind of forgave them for that's what I was expecting. So you sort of stick that aside and say, well, they could have done this better, just like I felt like there were certain aspects of the Green Lantern movie they could have done better, but I accepted it long before going to go see the movie, and I felt I enjoy stuff more that way, thankfully. And this series, I really liked the back and forth between Carol and Hal at the beginning. I thought that was really, really well done. I liked everything with the Guardians, I liked everything with the Red Lanterns. All in all, I actually thought the dialogue and everything was pretty solid in this animation foray. The big concern I have is they kind of set it up like a Star Trek Voyager kind of thing at this point, where
they're out in the world and not at Oa.
Yeah, and I don't mind necessarily a couple of episodes where they can't get back to Oa, but if that's what the series becomes, where they're out in fringe space, not able to contact the Corps, it's the Green Lantern Corps, for God's sake. You can't have a big bad out there and not involve the Corps. I don't care if Hal's still the focal point, but it's just not the same if it's Hal versus the Red Lantern. Oh, wait, excuse me. Hal and Kilowog versus the Red Lantern. So I'm hoping that, like a lot of things where I kind of get a little concerned and then they backtrack back to a little more connected stuff. It's just a concern right now. It's not necessarily saying this is what I'm expecting.
Well, I'm gonna throw something at you here and tell me what you think of this. You ever watched the old Gumby cartoon?
Yes, I've watched Gumby.
Do you remember how there was like Gumby and Pokey and like those bad guys, and that was it? There was like nothing else on the show.
Yeah,
I kind of what this reminds me of. Now, I've heard some rumors that the budget on this is basically non-existent, and then that's sort of okay with me that if they're going for this extremely limited animation format, like I get it. Like, it's better than spending a bunch of money on the show instead of, if they were spending a bunch of money and this is the result, well, but it's like, I thought the plot was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to be gone from Oa for very long. I mean, I want them back into the regular universe, but the animation was just so bad that I had such a hard time with it. I will continue to watch it, but I don't know if I don't know if I can deal with it. The CG animation for me is always a tough sell. I mean, I think Star Wars looks pretty cool most of the time, except when they're dealing with humans. Mm-hmm. I think, and this looks like a much worse version, and it's like just everything looks like a little kid's play set when he's saving the train. It looks like a little toy train set. Like the backgrounds, talk about backgrounds on Joe Mad. The background is extremely limited. Yeah. Flying around in space, they don't have to run into many characters. There's only going to be one or two people on the screen at any time. Not a lot of background animation. It just seems very cheap, and I'm very disappointed.
It's all the same things that I don't like on the new Transformer cartoon.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
No, when that Transformers Prime started, I was like, so they go, is this girl the only person that lives in this town or something like that? Like there's no other
But it's almost the
characters.
same thing what Charlie says. I actually really like the stories. I like the characters. I like the way they talk to each other. But yeah, it seems like they're the only ones that exist in this whole world. You know, it's like the kids and the Transformers and the bad guys and the occasional, cameo from the military captain. Or it's really bothersome that they're putting out animation like this, especially when we got Thundercats the way Thundercats is right now.
Sure.
Especially the way we got
show.
Young Justice the way it is right now. I don't understand when they can do shows like that deliberately choose to do shows like Green Lantern and Transformers Prime, especially since Transformer came from an new animated look, and going back to the CGI version.
I've actually listened to a fair amount of the commentary and stuff on the old Batman, the animated series, and Justice League and that kind of stuff. And I remember Bruce Timm talking about how, like, when he first started, he'd do all this stuff, and it ended up being really hard for them to animate and everything. So as sort of time went on and they did redesign, they started putting more and more emphasis on streamlining it, making it easier to animate, easier to hit.
That second set of Batman animated look, and then when you move that over to Justice League and the Superman stuff, like, it is more streamlined. Both are fine. Well, but they've cut it down to ridiculously streamlined. Basically the easiest possible look, and I don't like that.
And I agree with you, but I kind of look at it just, you're right, they took it to an extreme with this look, and like most things, if it's got strong enough numbers and it's got strong enough feedback, I'm sure it will evolve, and I'm hoping it does. As I said, I don't...
Well, this is actually where I'm a little worried. I mean, if they're going to get good enough feedback where they can continue the show, that just tells them that it's okay to do this, right? I'm actually really kind of worried about it, because if they're going to get away with doing a show like this, I can guarantee you they're not going to put the money into whatever next show it is. Whatever it is, a new Batman cartoon or a new
whatever. They've already announced a new Batman cartoon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Batman, Katana, and Pig is the villain. Katana's his Robin. It's coming out in 2013.
And it's CGI?
Yeah, unclear. The still shot looked CGI-ish. Yeah. I don't know off the top of my head.
But you know what I'm worried about? If this is okay to do this...
Batman's got a triangle head. His head is a triangle.
I'm really worried about this. If
really
this is a trend that keeps on going, we're going to have, I don't know, what's, Bizarro cartoon. Well, actually with Bizarro, actually would work. But you know what I mean, though? We're going to have, if this is going to be okay, and this is somewhat of a success, the next one is going to be either the same or worse. It's not going to go to Young Justice. It has to go the other way, basically.
What I want to know is, and I'll go back to you in just 1 second, Charlie, but I seriously want to know, and if people listening to this, if you like the CG animated look, whether it's this or Transformers Prime or all of Clone Wars, I'm pretty specific on what I like, and I haven't seen enough. I need to watch the whole series, but what I've seen is I like certain things, but other stuff looks friggin' awful. If you are seriously a huge fan of the style of animation, let me know, because to the best of my knowledge, I've never met someone that likes it. So the only reason they do it has to be a cost-cutting measure. That's the only reason.
I actually see it somewhat differently, and I hate to say it, that I do agree with you. On the surface, people think it's going to be a cost-cutting measure, but this kind of goes back to my feel about the Green Lantern movie and the choices they made there. I think they thought by going all CGI, they could pretty much pull an Avatar with a lot less money and a lot less time invested on it. There's always this sort of idea that once the technology's been conquered or done well, the next time they can do it a lot quicker. And
but we're at when was Reboot? I can look it up here, but if you go Reboot to now, we have Beast Wars, awful. Reboot, awful. This, awful. Clone Wars, I'm not going to say Clone Wars is awful because it does work for certain situations, but I don't like a lot of the character designs. What else? What are some of the other big CG shows that they've done? Some of those, they've done those weird, Winnie the Pooh and Disney CG shows, and those all look dreadful.
Well, actually,
TV
the Winnie
budget.
the Pooh. No. The Winnie the Pooh is interesting. The Winnie and the characters were actually puppets, and only the backgrounds were CGI. I actually thought that was really brilliant.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
That one was actually kind of cool.
No, there was another all CGI.
Oh, there was another one? Because I really liked the one with the puppet ones. I was like, that was brilliant.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I don't remember what it was called, but my kids watched it a couple of years ago, and I remember they were on scooters and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, I must have watched a different one, because I seen one where they're literally, basically they're Muppets, animated by people on green screen, where they replace all the green screen, the whatever acre it is all CGI. I thought that was brilliantly done. Yeah.
But, honestly, given the fact that all that CGI stuff, like the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and all that, is literally intended for preschool toddler age, the animation style and all that is perfectly fine. It's, for that age, less is more to a degree. But this kind of goes back to what I was just saying a little bit about once it's been done, especially Warner Brothers right now seems to have this opinion, but I kind of look at it like they probably were looking at it and going, well, lots of people like Clone Wars, and we're going to do a Clone Wars series. But you actually, if you do any research on the Clone Wars series, they've been working on a lot of this stuff for a long time. It's not that they just churned out this new show.
Well, Clone Wars, to me, the CG stuff, when they do let's say the cutscenes for DC Universe Online, or when they do the cutscenes for Star Wars: The Old Republic, or when they do these full CG animated movies, they generally look beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the TV budget that sucks. every single time. So Clone Wars, it is no doubt in my mind that Clone Wars has probably a huge budget compared to Green Lantern or any of these other Transformers Prime or any of them, because they obviously put a lot of work into Clone Wars.
With Clone Wars, I think it was a design issue. It was a design choice, because I think it didn't start as a cartoon by the guy who did Samurai Jack, right?
Right.
And I think they kind of just kept that style and they put it into a CGI version of it, and they kind of it was a design choice, which I don't mind if that's the case.
Sure.
Right? But to me, the Green Lantern was, it could be a design choice, but I guarantee you that there was a money issue there, because you don't animate something like that looking like that.
No.
Unless you really, the studio doesn't care or something,
And it's before Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So this is on purpose. So Clone Wars aired after Star Wars, or Clone Wars aired after the Green Lantern premiere, right? I mean, they had an ad that said Star Wars Clone Wars up next.
Yeah, but Star Wars Clone Wars has been on for 3 seasons already, going into the 4th.
Right, but I mean, their push is we can put it after or before Clone Wars.
For people that are used to that style.
Right, and we will get the people to check it out because it's a similar style.
It is beyond me, because, nice. You got, like I said, the new Thundercats cartoon is unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And then you got something like this coming out. It's just beyond me. It's like night and day of stuff they're putting out right now. It's almost like if the kids are buying it, then it's okay. As long as we're selling the toys, it's okay. But, I'm really thankful that in the new Thundercats cartoon, they got good writers, they got good animators, they put the money where it counts. But to me, it seems like the Green Lantern cartoon is like, hey, as long as we sell these toys, we're going to be good.
See, to me, it's actually just, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but it just seems like a very general sense of they look at what's popular and try and copy it in half the time or less.
Which is a money thing then.
Right.
I'm not even saying it's a money thing. It's getting it to the market as quickly as possible.
Well, they made the show fast.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fastest way to do it is CG. Now, what would be interesting is if some of these guys could take what South Park has done. I don't know if you've seen this 6 Days to Air, I think it was called. It was this documentary where they basically showed them making an episode of South Park and how fast they're able to do it. And while the animation on South Park is very limited, it's kind of flash, but they remove the stuff around, the style works well enough that they can animate that so fast. Why is it? They were saying like, it takes The Simpsons like a year to do an episode.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the lead time is so long. Why? What is being done to take such a long time? And because South Park is basically CG. I mean, every cartoon is CG, at this point.
Yeah.
It's just whether it's 2D or 3D.
Yeah.
Why is this that much easier and that much cheaper, and you can get it out that much faster? If that's the case, I get it, because this is a business, I understand, but you're really cutting off your nose to spite your face, because if the movie didn't do well, and now your animated series, I don't know if it's going to do well. I'll watch it, but I don't know.
There might be a whole different target audience too. You never know.
Well, how young? Well, see, and this is my other. Sorry to cut you off again, Charlie. This is my other concern with the show. How young are you going when you kill 2 Green Lanterns in the show? 2 of them died. Like, not even joking around, dead. They say those Green Lanterns died
and blew up a planet.
So, like, you can't be aiming that young.
Okay. Yeah,
and the Red Lanterns are the bad guys, for Christ's sakes.
Here's something I've been kind of curious about, actually, is we've seen a lot of stuff over the years, especially in video games, where they'll build the 3D model, and the 3D model is completely built and ready to go, and then they'll bring in somebody and sort of put them in one of those suits and everything to have them do various things that they can then capture. So when they kind of put it into a video game and stuff, the 3D model actually does what the person in the recording does.
Motion capture.
Right.
I'm actually wondering why they don't use more of that kind of technology for TV productions like this. I mean, if you build out a really good 3D model of Hal, bring in some stunt guy or whatnot to capture specific things.
Well, you only need Andy Serkis and then you're good. I mean, he could play every Lantern. He could play.
But that's sort of my point, is if it's a matter of budget or whatnot, you can spend more money on the backgrounds and all that. If you just have to design the main characters once and then use that kind of technology, which is all readily available in video games and they use it all the time, I don't really see that stuff being used at the moment in a lot of these CGI cartoons and stuff. And I think if you're really looking to cut back on how much it costs to animate,
Yeah.
That's sort of a good midpoint.
Cool to see Andy Serkis as Kilowog, Andy Serkis as that cat thingy, Andy Serkis as... That would be actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I got one last thing I want to talk about here real quick before we start to wrap up. But during the show, they also had the DC Nation trailer, which is DC Nation's this showcase that they're going to have coming up next year.
I'm kind of excited about it, to be honest with you.
So they had a trailer. This showed a bunch of stuff, including obviously Green Lantern and Young Justice.
DC Nation is going to be the new quote-unquote animation block. It's
Marvel Hour.
But it's not just an animation block.
But I'm just saying that it's not just... DC Nation isn't really a show of itself. They have DC Nation shorts that are going to air during the DC Nation animation.
I'm actually really, really excited about these shorts.
And they're going to have interviews with creators and look at stores and go to cons and do all this sort of stuff. So the stuff they showed in here, I mean, I haven't seen a full list of what was in the ad yet, but what we've seen, I mean, Green Lantern and Young Justice, they showed the Aardman animation Batman or Justice League short, I guess it was, who are the guys that do Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run. They had a real quick shot of Lauren Faust's Super Best Friends Forever, which is the lady behind what was it, My Little Pony? The guys behind
Fosters
and Powerpuff Girls, which
is really led by Craig McCracken, but
right. Well, Lauren Faust, I guess that's.
It's either a partner, a wife. I'm not sure actually the history behind the two yet, but they obviously have worked quite a bit together there.
Right.
Big fan of them.
The My Little Pony.
Where is Foster's the entire DVD set? Where?
Well, My Little Pony, I mean, that has such a weird. The fan base is 60-year-old girls and 35-year-old men. So it's like it has this huge male fan base. So it's clear that they're trying to tap into that, but bring in the
actually, it would be really cool to see what they can do with. It'll be a completely different take on it, but it'd be really, really cool.
The half a second shot this looks like My Little Ponies mixed with female comp. I mean, it's Batgirl, Supergirl, and Wonder Girl.
I think this is going to be awesome.
There was a Batman short in there that looked like Paul Pope. I don't know who it is. I don't know anything about it, but it really looked like Paul Pope. So if they're doing a Paul Pope-inspired animated Batman series, holy crap. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the Teen Titans stuff.
Tiny Titans.
It's like a tiny Teen Titans.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
There was a short in front of Green Lantern. Me and Charlie were talking earlier before recording. We're not sure if that was something they cut from one of the episodes or if that was original. It looked familiar, but I did not remember seeing it before. Like, it just seemed familiar to me. They're having this burping contest, but my TiVo cut it off. So I didn't get to see the whole thing. So I'm going to try to catch that if they re-air.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to go back through my Teen Titans DVDs and figure it out one way or another.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm really excited for those, almost more than some of the
actual
shows,
cartoons.
So.
Well, I'm actually really excited for Young Justice. Though.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
I guess part of it for me, though, part of what sort of hedges my excitement to a degree is you can tell most of this was already sort of canned material.
Well, they've been working on this. I mean, since pre-San Diego, they've been talking about this for a while. So.
Well, yeah, but a lot of the stuff that they decided to highlight, I know, was something they were toying around with making a series of, and then.
Right, because they had the Plastic Man stuff, and they had the live action. That's right. There's a few other things: Plastic Man and the live action Blue Beetle, which Jeff Johns premiered that footage a couple of years ago. This looks different than that. It doesn't look exactly the same. So I don't know if they re-edited it, they changed it up a bit. Yeah. But it looks real similar to the stuff John showed a few years ago. So
I'm just hoping this is something that can grow. I mean, this is going to be cool if it's going to be like a 2-hour slot with a bunch of other new stuff. Right.
I just remember a couple of years ago, Cartoon Network was doing something very similar to this. So I'm curious to see how much of it gets reused. Because I have somewhere on my computer some like stuff where they were talking to Alex Ross at his house and going over how he does stuff, and a lot of what they were kind of showing was in the same vein as that, so I wouldn't be surprised if that popped up in the DC Nation shorts as well.
That'd be awesome.
You know, speaking of that, I saw a really funny cartoon today. One of those little, picture ones. It's Batman being mad at Robin for checking into the Batcave. He's like, Batcave is supposed to be secret. Stop checking into it. How everybody is a Foursquare thing. I thought that was hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I think we're going to kind of wrap up here. I got one thing to talk about real quick, and then we may do a real quick pick of the week here. Charlie has something he wants to talk about. We'll put Toby on the spot here. Mm-hmm. But a couple weeks ago, or God, a month and a half ago at this point, we recorded a episode all about the Suicide Squad. And Gage, who was our guest podcaster at the time, gave away an entire run of the Suicide Squad comic. We extended the contest out a little bit longer than I had originally anticipated, but
I won.
You did. No.
Yeah.
We decided.
Too bad, listeners.
Screw all of you. We decided to actually we wrapped it up last week. I just didn't have all the info in front of me when we sat down to record me and Brock, so I decided to just bump to this week. So sorry, everyone. But I actually have no idea how to confirm this. So hopefully the right person hears this and emails me. If I get a bunch of emails saying, "Oh yeah, I'm that guy," I'm not quite sure how to figure that out.
I can already tell you it's actually me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But C-Toad.
See, it's me.
You are our winner. So the real C-Toad, please stand up and send us an email. And I wish to read his winning entry here. Maybe a little biased on my part, but I think Charlie will enjoy this.
Uh-oh. So
the winning review of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast on iTunes is, and there are actually some really other good ones, and I get to go through and read a lot of them, probably next week. I actually will probably send out other stuff to other people because there were some really good reviews, but we had to pick this one. In Retailer Day, in Podcaster Night, no comics shall escape their sight. Let those who worship Geekbox's might beware their rants. Comic conspirators unite. So that is a 5-star review from C-Toad, and I give it 2
that
Green
is
Lantern
awesome.
thumbs up.
I approve.
That is quite awesome.
So C-Toad, please, don't email me if you're not C-Toad saying you're C-Toad. I seriously have no idea how we're going to figure this out. But C-Toad, if that was you, maybe C-Toad log into iTunes and take a picture of you actually logged in with your username, because that's the username, and forward that as an attachment so I know that it's actually the real person that's logged in.
Yeah.
Because it'll have to say you're logged in. So
that stays in the upper corner.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that'll actually be enough to confirm that this is the real person. This is actually a pretty big prize. This is almost 100 comic books. So I want to make sure this gets to the right person.
Yeah, definitely.
So C-Toad.
That's an awesome review, though.
Yeah. And there was actually some really, really other good ones, some funny ones. I got a negative one. I'll actually talk about that next week.
No. What is it?
Well, no, the guy said, he was like, "Oh,
you guys are awesome, but there's 1 star."
No.
He'll deserve another if you continue on.
No. He was like, "Oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm not going to listen to this podcast anymore because they always get their facts wrong." And I'm very honest about this. If we get something wrong, let me know. Yeah. I try to look this stuff up beforehand. I have a bunch of windows open. I have Google up.
Well, I actually want to do a shout out to the guy. When we did the 52 review, Charlie said, the Blackhawks was like G.I. Joe. And there's one guy on the boards that said, well, it's because the guy actually is the G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah,
and I didn't know that. Yeah, so thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. I really appreciate it. So that was actually kind of cool. But I really didn't know that. Yeah,
so instead of giving us 1-star reviews on iTunes, if we get something wrong, let me know. Because his comment was something about Jason Aaron was writing Wolverine number 300, and I know that. I don't know why. I don't know when we would have said he wasn't writing Wolverine 300. Maybe Brock said it and I just didn't hear him, or maybe I said someone's name wrong. But so specifically for that instance, Jason Aaron is writing Wolverine 300 and continuing to write in the series. I don't know.Maybe I misspoke, but cool. Yeah. So very bizarre.
Huh.
Well, normally this is when me and Brock do our random pick of the week, but I was out all last week for the most part. I haven't read crap, so I have no random pick of the week. Toby, Charlie, you guys got something? Charlie's got something he wants to kind of pimp.
Yeah, let's go with Charlie.
Yes. I actually picked up the Avengers Origins Vision this week. And
he actually came to the store on Sunday and plowed it down in front of me and goes, read it. Yes.
I really like the art in this book. It's a bit different and stuff compared to sort of your standard art. It's
well, before we go too far, so the Avenger Origin is a miniseries Marvel's currently publishing, kind of giving you the origin stories and backgrounds of a lot of their main Avenger characters. So it's a short miniseries for publishing.
Yeah, so this particular issue, and I'm not vouching for the entire series, just vouching for this particular issue, was written by Kyle Higgins and Alex Segal, and the artist was
Higgins,
Stephanie Bridger.
You said it was Kyle Higgins, right?
Kyle Higgins.
Yeah, because isn't he the guy doing the new Nightwing?
He's doing Deathstroke. I don't know about Nightwing.
Oh, no, I think you're right. No, he is. Yeah, he's doing Nightwing, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, he's just all over the place.
Yep.
But I definitely like the art in this issue, and I thought it was told really well. So I was actually extremely happy after reading this book.
Sweet. Are you normally a big Vision fan, or is this just kind of you picked it up randomly?
I picked it up randomly. I mean, there's a lot of characters that I kind of associate. When I think Vision, I think Avengers.
He's one of those core Avengers guys.
So, like, for me, it was just kind of a random pickup. I already kind of knew his origin and everything, but kind of like I touched upon to a degree a couple of weeks ago with, like, Supergirl. Most of the stuff that I really get into with Supergirl tends to be retellings of her origin. I kind of feel the same way about this kind of stuff. I always tend to really enjoy well-told origin stories no matter how many times I've read them. And I thought this worked really well for that.
You know, like with the movies, I mean, they obviously go back to the origin story, and there's a lot to that the origin stories. You can have great stories after, but the origin story is usually the most or one of the most important stories in the character's life. So, and you always got to kind of retouch it up, bring it to the modern day. And
I do have a favorite Vision story, though, that stayed in my mind for quite a long time. Was the West Coast Avengers story where the Human Torch from, like, I think the 60s or 70s comes back, and they're not sure which was
30s.
Or it was like him and Toro, right? It's
right.
And then Vision actually meets him as, like, the androids meet. It was actually really significant, cool scene that always stayed in my mind. So
that was the John Byrne stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it was. I loved that stuff actually quite a bit. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
So, did you get a chance to read this on time?
No, not yet. Actually, I did. I was being a good employee and did a ton of boards and bags, and but no, it was in my reading pile, and I just didn't get to it yet, though. Yeah. But I am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's anything else.
Well, I want a couple of picks since I haven't been here in a couple of weeks. So my one.
We got a few minutes. Talk away.
All right. I will pick Superboy number 3 because Caitlin Fairchild is finally back. You know, even though I have no idea where this story will go, but she's there, so I'm excited. I will pick The Punisher just because it's an unbelievably good read, and I already mentioned why earlier in the podcast, so that'll be my other pick. And number 3, I will pick the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's the new comic?
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have talked about it on a podcast yet, but...
real briefly, we actually talked about it in Geekbox, because Ryan's a huge Turtles fan.
Yeah, well...
So he read the first issue.
Well, you guys all know me.
Yeah.
And to me, it's really funny. It's almost like the guys who are doing the Turtles got the same memo that DC gave out to everybody on the New 52. It's like, you know, redo it, free for all, and it's really bizarre because I don't know. I like it. I'm into it. And then there's things that are like, wait, this is not right. And it's almost like the DC stuff I'm reading. I'm like, this is not right. But it's a new universe almost, right? So it's the same thing in the Turtles. Like, I like it, but this doesn't seem right. But I'm going to keep reading. You know, there's new characters, but it's really, really well done. And I'm looking forward to the next issue. So, yeah.
I've read the first 3, and I've enjoyed it so far. So,
it is a different take, though. It is a very different take, I feel like, you know. But I'm happy that Eastman is involved, because to me, Peter Laird and Eastman, it was always like, when Eastman went away, I feel like the Turtles kind of went off into space, into La La Land, right? To me, it always felt like Eastman was the street guy, and that's the Turtles I liked. The sewer Turtles, the Daredevil knockoff, the street Turtles is the ones I loved. And it seems like Laird was kind of like the sci-fi Turtles. It's like Turtles in space, Turtles with dinosaurs, Turtles and weird gems under the earth and caves and stuff like that. Yeah. And to me, that's what it seemed like. And I never liked those Turtles. I always kind of liked the street level of Turtles that, you know, fight bad guys into the night. And it seems like the game went back to that. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'll tell you this. We're selling about 30 times as many copies of this Turtle series as we have at any point that I've at least worked at this store, which would have been even towards the tail end of the Mirage run. Yeah. So it's like...
Well, but even the tail end of the Mirage run was like...
I
was out there.
I
was like...
The Tales of the TMNT.
Yeah, it was like...
No one
read but,
that.
You know, it's the
Toby might have.
What's that?
Toby might have.
I don't even think you read the Tales of the TMNT
I might have, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I read like 70 issues or something.
No, I think it was like where there's like more than one Krang, and then like a Splinter like kind of died, and it was it was really weird. Well, yeah, it was.
They gave that off to anyone that wanted to write it. So
it was a little it was gone. But I really, really like the new series, even if it's different than what I'm used to, even if it's like, you know, changed some of the stuff I like, but. No, go for it. Yeah, it was
so great. If Toby gets 3 picks, I'm going to go back and do another pick.
Oh, what's your last pick? And then we got to wrap this up.
Yes, Batman Noel.
Oh, yeah.
Lee Bermejo is awesome.
The art in that book's awesome. I actually really like the combination of the way that book is told with the art, though. I
haven't picked up my copy yet, so I still got to get that.
However, I gotta say, it is a different Lee Bermejo. I don't know what it is. The coloring is different or something is different. I like his older stuff a little bit better. But
the Batman Deathblow and the Batman Joker.
Yeah, no. Even like, the Joker, I think it's colored differently, or they have a different inker, or there's something digital about the new.
This looks brighter.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, it's kind of weird going into a Batman book, and I can say his Luthor book seemed a little more.
Yeah, the Luthor and the Joker is more how I know Lee Bermejo.
Yeah. And we just said, I love this book. I don't like it.
No, I love him.
Oh, okay.
I'm not so sure about the new direction with the art, but I love his art.
Yeah. I really love this book just in terms of, like, Luthor was a absolutely great story in terms of telling a story from the point of view of Luthor.
And didn't we have like a podcast just a couple weeks ago asking for which villain books there are?
Someone actually someone totally brought that up, and we totally didn't talk about Joker or Luthor.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny that we're bringing it now. Yeah,
reading the Batman book, one of the things I liked about it is, in general, it's got this sort of general tone telling a story sort of separate from what's on the page. So you kind of see this comparison, even though they don't always mesh up 100%. It was just told in a very different way than I'm used to, and I really like that.
That's cool. That's always good. Yeah, I was out almost all last week, so I'm even further behind on my reading. So I haven't read a comic in longer than I wish. But I'll get back on this wagon, and maybe I'll do a double pick next week too. So make up for it.
Yeah.
He'll never admit how long it's been.
Oh, jeez, too long. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. If you want to listen to this episode again for some reason, or other older episodes, or any episodes of the Geek Box, or episodes of the Comedy Button, our brand new, massive, giant hit of a podcast that I have absolutely no part of. That's probably why it's such a big hit. You can go to www.geekbox.net, and you can find many, many episodes of all our podcasts on there. You can go on forums.geekbox.net and contribute to our forums, talk with our forum regulars, post on the comic forum, talk about what books you like and what books you don't like. You can visit Barack at his brand new website, conspiratorbarack.com. He finally got his website up and running. His blog. He's been not blogging quite as big. He's been real sick the last few days with a kid and work, and now he's back to work. So his blog's been a little slow.
He's
but
really working on that site. I just think it's funny.
He got the site registered and everything. He likes writing and blogging and stuff. So more power to him.
No, definitely.
He puts his pics up, and I mean, I can barely. I mean, my normal reply in a message board setting is like less than a tweet long. Yeah. So I just don't even bother with blogs because I'd write like 3 sentences and then I'd post like a YouTube picture and I'm done.
I can't do it either. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like my long reply is like 3 sentences long. Yeah. So I just Twitter's
well, you're better than me. I just read it and I don't even bother replying.
I mean Twitter's my responsive choice because I can do it in 140 characters. Anything longer than that, I don't have the patience.
I usually just tell you about it. I read it and then I chat you about it. I'm like, damn that one dude.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan. I don't, guys. You don't really tweet Twitter.
Not really.
I'm on guys aren't Twitter guys.
I'm on there, but I'm more on there to read other people's stuff.
Okay.
And, But
I don't tweet very often at all. I don't even remember what my name on there is right now.
All right. Well, there you go. I think that's it. And hopefully Brock should be back next week. He seemed pretty damn sick when I talked to him earlier today, but hopefully he's back next week and we'll have some more comic goodness. Cool. Charlie, Toby, thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
Very appreciated. We'll have you guys on again soon.
Cool.
That's it. We will talk to everyone next week.
All right.